It seems to me, first of all, from what I understand from doctors, that's really rare. If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
And when it comes to establishing your worldview, I was curious, what newspapers and magazines did you regularly read before you were tapped for this to stay informed and to understand the world?
I've read most of them, again, with a great appreciation for the press, for the media.
But like what ones specifically? I'm curious that you...
all of them, any of them that have...
Can demonic spirits attach themselves to inanimate objects? The answer is yes.
Welcome to Twat Waffle of the Week.
So, my hometown has been victimized by a deadly, racist mass shooting. Yes, I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm still in shock, to say the least. Although, I guess I shouldn't be. According to various sources, when I say his, the shooter's reason for targeting the area is a direct result of decades of segregation and systematic racism. Now, as I said, while I grew up in a suburb of Buffalo, in my adulthood I lived in various neighborhoods till I left Western New York about 22 years ago. I still have many family and friends still living in the area. Thankfully, they are all safe. From my understanding and memory, which is really crappy, the cowards' attack took place in an area we called the East Side. It wasn't the not so nice area of the city for various reasons. But the shooter wouldn't know this because he's not from the area. He's actually from Binghamton, which is about 3 hours away. So he would have had to do some information gathering prior to his arrival in Buffalo. So in my opinion, yes, this was pre-planned, and I believe, based on what I've read, an organized attack. I have a lot to digest. I'm really having a tough time with this. And before I forget, my deepest condolences to the families and the loved ones that are left grieving. And just a quick update, and I don't know any of the details. There was another shooting, and I think it was in LA. And also this was at a church. This is just outrageous. So, onwards and upwards. Hey, Vincent, you seem to be so pleased with the idea of a coming theocracy. I have one question for you. Are you the right kind of Christian? If not, they'll have no issue with discarding you.
The Supreme Court has completely banned abortion, or they're going to move to ban abortion. They're going to ban sodomy. They're going to ban gay marriage. They're going to throw gays off roofs. Women lose, God wins, Christ wins, total victory incoming, hoes mad, total baby victory, let's go, gays are banned, sodomy's banned, gay marriage is banned, Vinshallah, we shall have our theocracy very soon. Let's go. maybe in 5 years from now, we'll be seeing Alito throw them off of tall buildings. maybe 5 years from now, we'll see Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas, if he makes it through his health scares, throwing them off of roofs soon.
Quote, James was among a chorus of far-right and Christian nationalist activists looking forward to using the SCOTUS decision to implement their theocratic agenda. Not satisfied with simply removing the right to abortion protected in Roe, they are eager to pass a total abortion ban, dismantle the right to same-sex marriage, and institute their ultra-conservative version of Christianity on others. They see an ally in the Supreme Court, and there is reason to believe they are right. End quote. This clip is just so full of Christian love. It'll make you puke. And he, and by that I mean David Barton, wonders why no one takes his pseudo-history seriously. He is a proven liar for Jeebus. If you all remember, in 2012, the Jefferson Lies, exposing the myths you always believed about Thomas Jefferson, was pulled by Thomas Nelson, the publisher, for well-documented inaccuracy. Now, to give you an idea, I've been tracking Barton since a 2005 Time magazine article entitled The 25 Most Influential Evangelicals. You would think in the time since then that Barton would have learned.
In the early days of America, what was the voter engagement by churches?
Voter engagement by churches. Well, first off, churches ran the communities.
Did you hear that?
So churches ran the communities, and the voter turnout was 100%. And that was for at least 70 years. When Daniel Webster ran for Congress, there were 5,000 voters in his district. 5,000 votes were cast. Now, he got 4,990, so the other guy must have been him and his family all voted for him. But nonetheless, it was still 100% turnout. We felt like that was a duty we would answer to God for, and that was really high turnout. Churches ran it.
The answer is nope, not even a hint. It's why Mantia's destruction of Barton's recent lie is so grand. Quote, Barton's claim is absurd, given that statistics show that voter turnout has never once reached 100%, even in presidential elections. And while there are apocryphal reports that Daniel Webster won 4,990 out of 5,000 votes cast in the 1824 congressional election, such reports do not provide any information about how many people were eligible to vote in that election. Winning 4,990 out of 5,000 votes would only prove that Webster was a popular candidate. It says nothing about what percentage of eligible voters actually participated in the election. End quote. So we are now going to enter into a realm I had put on the back burner for my sanity. Generally, I do not issue trigger warnings, personal reasons, but I felt it was warranted concerning the following two stories, as the details of what occurred are horrific. Do not tell me that religious belief is harmless. I will tell you, you are fucking lying through your butthole. And I have no qualms in telling you that. There is no justification one can offer in the murder of a child, especially a murder that is based solely in a fantasy world.
And I don't know, I could sit here and be negative about the thing, like, oh, like, I wish I could go back, and this and this and that. But it's like, there is no point of me doing that, you know, because I cannot change what is, you know, it is what it is. So I've learned to think positive, you know, because it's many reasons why God took her, you know. And I sit here and I think, like, oh, what if something would have happened to her, you know? What if she would have had like a sickness, or like, what if something would have happened to her, or like, I don't know, it's a lot, you know. And at the same time, like, I don't know, like I told you guys, like, I can sit here and be negative, but be negative, like, oh, not being negative, but like, be sad about that whole situation that she passed away. But it's like, there's no point, you know, because it is what it is. It is what it is, you know. She's not here with me. It is what it is, you know. And it's like, what's the point, you know? I'm just gonna be putting myself down when there's no point for me to do that, you know. Like, I cannot change the past, and I gotta be positive about the situation, you know. Like, at least she's not suffering, you know. Like, in this world we suffer so much, you know, and especially nowadays, like, everything is just so bad, like, everything just going downhill, you know. And that's what I'm thankful for, you know, that she's not gonna grow up in that world, like, in the world that we live in, you know.
Allegedly, those were the words of the mother of about 3 months ago. Quote,
court records say Hernandez told police she had begun to believe her daughter was possessed because she would wake up and scream or cry periodically, according to the AP. Hernandez and her brother reportedly brought the toddler to a tiny Pentecostal church in San Jose, the Iglesia Apóstoles y Profetas, where Arlie's grandfather was a pastor. The AP reports the church operates out of a basement of a home.
In another case of religious stupidity, quote,
the mother accused of killing her 3 young children inside their West Hills home believed they were possessed by demons. Eyewitness News has learned. Angela Flores, 38, was arrested after 3 children were found dead inside the home on Sunday. She had been expected to be arraigned Wednesday, but it was continued until August 10. Flores remains in jail on $6 million bail. According to authorities, the children's mother admitted to killing them with the help of her 16-year-old son. She has been charged with 3 counts of murder.
End quote. There are many unanswered questions to both stories. Primarily, especially within the second story, there are questions as to how authorities handled the case and why it took so long for them to find the children. Hopefully answers will be determined by autopsy. And as I said, a 16-year-old son is also charged as he helped to restrain one of the children who fought Flores during the attack. An update to Louisiana's Bill HB 13, which was slated for vote this past Thursday night. Quote,
the sponsor of a bill that would have subjected Louisiana women to murder charges for having abortions abruptly pulled the proposal from debate Thursday night after House members voted 65-26 to totally revamp the legislation eliminating the criminal penalties. The controversial bill would have ventured farther against abortion than lawmakers' efforts in any other state. It would have made women who end their pregnancies subject to criminal homicide prosecutions.
End quote. Now, given this woman's track record of hyperbole, I would not take anything, and I mean anything, she says seriously. As David Pacman notes, why don't the angels just prevent vote stealing altogether? Is Junior, her son, mimicking mom's nutty behavior for attention or approval? Ham says, quote, she'll be honest and fair and honorable, end quote. But yet, she forgets. She's a QAnon believer, which tells me she is incapable of such.
My Christian faith is the absolute basis for all of my values and why I do what I do. And that gives me a huge advantage as a Secretary of State, because my faith says we must tell the truth. We must do what is right. We must be fair and honorable. And all of those things are very important for the Secretary of State. So someone who was different than me, maybe who was godless, very likely would not have those values that are just key core values that are central to who I am. And so I think that my values also are just connected to everything that I do and think and feel and that I am. You can't separate them. It's not like I'm a Christian and then I'm a candidate for Secretary of State. It's like, no, as a Christian, my beliefs of doing what is right all the time is going to be central to everything that I do as a candidate right now and as Secretary of State. And honestly, we need someone like me in all the offices. We need someone who has those kinds of values to do what is right.
Quote, Colorado School Board member Jamie Lynn D'Avola told a child Jesus justified her bigoted views. Lacey Carroll fought back, end quote. It's the title from Hemet Meta piece. And he provides an excellent backstory for this next clip, which basically boils down to this. Quote, so the child urged a school board member to be a decent human being. The school board member responded by basically telling that child she's too stupid to understand mental illness and gender identity and needed more Jesus in her life. And another school board member blamed the child. End quote.
My name is Lacey Carroll, and I'm the parent of 2 students in this district. Many of you ran on the platform and have continued to promote parental choice in education, and the idea that parents should be the gatekeepers of the information and ideas that are presented to their children. You have communicated that students should not be subjected to opinions that contradict their family's values. But which parents? I'm certainly not included in that. A board member's email to my child, referenced in the letter you received from the Freedom from Religion Foundation, made it quite clear that this only applies to parents who already think like she does. My family values science and mental health care, diversity, and inclusion. She trampled on these values when she communicated with my child and promoted something entirely different. Although I believe my child is capable of critically thinking through diverse information, and our values are not so fragile that they have to be shielded from every alternative view, it is the hypocrisy of the school board that cannot be tolerated. If you are going to censor the information that students are provided in the classroom, then you should also be censoring yourselves in the name of parental rights. If students are subjected only to this board member's values, and differing values are silenced, that would be indoctrination, the very thing you claim to be fighting against. For those who are supporting her, how would you feel if she were a Muslim, promoting the truth of the Quran to your child, or an atheist telling your child there is no God? Freedom of and from religion protects everyone, but it has to be extended to all of us. I think some of you are capable of understanding that, but if you don't begin denouncing the misuse of this platform when other members overstep, as this board member did when she emailed my child, and continues to do at every meeting when she expresses contempt for families like mine, then it will make it impossible for me to believe that you truly care about parental rights at all, and you are only here to push forward your personal agenda. You seem to think that your values are the only ones that can exist, and that anything else is the absence of values. I want to be clear that I'm very intentionally teaching my kids to celebrate diversity and to make others feel safe. Those are our family values. According to you, I should have the right to do that without a school official going behind my back to undermine me. So help me understand. Do all parents have rights or just the ones you agree with? What is the real purpose of this discussion? I want you to really ask yourselves that, because I think if it were truly about parental rights, you would have more to say in defense of mine. Thank you.
And to be clear, D'Avola is anti-LGBTQ, anti-comprehensive sex education, anti-Black Matters lives, etc. According to Hammett, quote,
she downplayed the seriousness of mental health. She dismissed the existence of trans people. She implied the student needed to convert to her religion. It was just completely inappropriate bullshit from someone speaking as a government official.
Headline: The religious right wants nothing more than to take control of the education system and to use it to indoctrinate students with their own conservative Christian worldview. To borrow from a comment, quote,
this has been going on for literally decades, and every time someone says anything about it, it was dismissed as religious hate or Christian persecution, or simply just saying it's not nice to criticize people's religion. And after decades of ignoring this problem, here we are.
End quote. And boy, I can relate to that sentiment. I have for years. Oh, it's just fringe. Oh, it's just yeah.
Now, Lord, according to your word, we take authority over our education system. And Lord, we call for righteousness in our education system, truth in our education system, justice in our education system. We cast down that demonic hold of indoctrination in our education system. And God, we declare that there's no education outside of the word of the living God. There's no true education outside of the word of the living God. We declare according to your word that all of our children shall be disciples, taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace and undisturbed composure of our children. So God, we call for righteousness in every level of education. I call forth righteous superintendents, righteous teachers, righteous principals, righteousness now. And that by righteousness and the word of righteousness, the demonic and the deception and the evil that is taught in the classroom would be driven out by the hand of God. Driven out by the hand of God. Driven out now by the hand of God. And God, I thank you for young people who are taught according to your word in Jesus' name.
Well, my thinking is not quite as harsh as David Pacman's. It's pretty close. I mean, he asked point blank, is this a Christian church or an insane asylum? What I can say is welcome to the world of the prayer warrior, where the goal is to pray away the demons that want to attack the speaker while he or she is speaking. This, by the way, is the direction I was headed in my quest to become the perfect Christian. The first crack began to appear when I was told I had no right to grieve when my girlfriend was killed. By that point, I had rectified my homosexuality with what the Bible presents, so it was not an issue for me. Seems not everybody agreed with me. Long story short, this type of dog and pony show that we're seeing in this video is not foreign to me. And with that, I bring this episode to a close by presenting Telltale. He's a YouTuber who specializes in examining cults and other oppressive religions. Give him a listen, he's good. With that, bid you adieu. Peace out.